Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the Bio at the Buzzer channel. In this video, we will be talking about why the Miami Heat got swept by the Milwaukee Bucks in the 2020 playoffs in the very first round. After making the finals in the previous season, the Miami Heat did go up against probably one of the better powerhouse teams in the East, and they did get swept. Now, this was because of a lot of different factors, and we are going to be talking about those factors in this video. If you guys do enjoy this video, do me a favor and kill the like button. Again, I'm not going to be setting a like goal. I just want you guys to kill that like button if you guys do enjoy the content that is on this channel. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Huge shout out to you guys for getting this channel way past 250 subscribers in the very first day of this channel being created. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So in game number one of the series, the Milwaukee Bucks were able to take a 109-107 advantage over the Miami Heat to win the game. Going through some of the box scores here of what we did see in this game, you did have Jimmy Butler start the series off with a very poor game, shooting 4 of 22 from the field and shooting just 2 of 9 from 3, putting in 17 total points. However, he also did add in 6 turnovers as well, which was not very good. He did add 10 rebounds and 8 assists, which is really good. But taking a look at his efficiency throughout this game, it was not very good. Other guys on the Miami Heat, such as Bam Adebayo, did not have a very good game as well, shooting 4 of 15, just having 9 points. You did have Kendrick Nunn as well, shooting 4 of 10 from the field, which is not very good, and Tyler Hero shooting 2 of 10. So right away, this series did not go too well for the Miami Heat. However, if you do take a look at the Milwaukee Bucks side, Giannis did not have a very good game, shooting 10 of 27. Middleton shooting 10 of 22 isn't the worst, but still could have been a little bit better. And then Bryn Forbes as well, shooting just 2 of 5. Obviously, it was a very slow start for the Milwaukee Bucks as well. But the Miami Heat, like I said, their main guy in Jimmy Butler did not have a very good game, and that did kind of cost them game 1 as they did lose by 2. Game 2 was really where the Milwaukee Bucks broke this series out to take a commanding lead, and they just dominated throughout this entire game. Now, the main reason why is if you take a look at the Miami Heat here, Jimmy Butler is their main guy, and he ended up shooting 4 of 10 from the field, only putting up 10 points and had a minus 34 plus minus. That is terrible. And another issue with this team is not a single person on this team had a positive plus minus, which is really bad. But the main issue I really want to talk about is how they had no scoring in this game. Their leading scorer was by Dwayne Dedmon. Now, Dwayne Dedmon, again, is in the NBA for a reason, but Dwayne Dedmon cannot be your leading scorer, especially in a playoff game. If he's putting up 50, fine. But him only having 19 points and being your leading scorer just shows that the Miami Heat was definitely they were definitely struggling in this game. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the Milwaukee Bucks side of things. Bryn Forbes had 22 points off the bench, adding in 6 3-pointers of his own. Pat Connaughton added in 5 for himself. Bobby Portis was 2 of 3. They just dominated in this game. Again, Giannis I don't want to say that he struggled. He did shoot, close to 50, or he did shoot over 50% from the field. Obviously, his threes were not hitting, but he did have 31 points with 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals that game. He was chilling. Jrue Holiday did his thing. Chris Middleton did his thing, going 3 of 3 from 3, 4 of 5 from the field. I mean, he was obviously, he did have some fouls and some turnovers, but the Milwaukee Bucks dominated in this game and really took game 2, without even, struggling at all. Now, again, same thing in game number 3. The Milwaukee Bucks take a very commanding lead in the game, and they never looked back. They ended up taking a 3-0 advantage in this series by winning this game. And again, taking a look at the Bucks side, you had a guy like Jrue Holiday have a plus 41 plus minus. That is really good, especially in a playoff game. He shot 7 of 10 from the field. He had 2 fouls and 2 turnovers, but he had 19 and 12. That is really good, especially with a player that came in and really changed the way that this team looked. A guy like Chris Middleton, again, he may not have shot the ball all that well from 3, still put up 22 points, 5 assists, and 8 rebounds. And again, you got a guy like Giannis. Giannis only had 17 points, but 17 rebounds, 5 assists as well is really solid for this team. Now, taking a look at their bench, you again had Bryn Forbes putting up 11 points, you had Bobby Portis putting up 11 points, and you had Pat Connaughton putting up 9. This bench unit for Milwaukee has been a really good, throughout the series, and we're going to kind of touch up on that in just a little bit here. So going to the Miami Heat side of things here, again, you had Jimmy Butler. I mean, he did shoot 7 of 17, which is really bad. He shot 50% from 3. He did have 19 points, but again, Bam Adebayo, 17 and 8 is relatively good, but the rest of his team definitely struggled. Goran Dragic being inserted into the starting 5, 3 of 14, not that good. Duncan Robinson, 1 of 6, not good at all. And you had Trevor Ariza going 0 for 4. So again, you can see where they were struggling. You did have Tyler Hero as well, going 4 of 10 off the bench. He had 9 points, which is okay. But the Tyler Hero that we saw in the bubble last year is really what the Miami Heat needed this season, especially in this series. And they did not get that hero at all. In the final game, what we did see, the Milwaukee Bucks sweep the Miami Heat 120-103. Kind of going through the box score again here. I'm not really going to touch up too much because, again, we're going to be seeing the same issues here. The Milwaukee Bucks did their thing. Bryn Forbes had another 22-point game, dropping in 7 threes off the bench. Again, just taking a look at the Miami Heat, all negatives throughout here. The only one that was positive in the starting 5 was Duncan Robinson, only being a +1. Jimmy Butler, again, struggled from the field, putting up 4 of 15 of his shots, knocking in 4 of 15 of his shots. Bam actually didn't have that bad of a game. He had 20 points, 14 rebounds, but too little, too late. Dragic, 5 of 12, not really all that good. Duncan Robinson only shot 1 of 4 as well. That's really not what you want to see. Hero shooting 5 of 13. Again, it's just, too little, too late. The Miami Heat, they struggled in the series, and a big part is what the Milwaukee Bucks were able to do to change how their team was and really get the revenge in this series. So before we keep talking about the Miami Heat and kind of what happened here, I really want to focus on the Milwaukee Bucks and why they were able to dominate this series. One of the biggest additions the Milwaukee Bucks were able to make was trading for Jrue Holiday. Now, they did actually end up trading 3 first-round picks for him, and a lot of people were skeptical because Jrue Holiday is on a 1-year deal, and a lot of people were saying, hey, this is not a win-now move. But honestly, if you know basketball, you knew how good Jrue Holiday was going to be for this team. What I mean by that is he's a really good perimeter defender, but also a good shot creator himself and a good playmaker. He is what, honestly, the Giannis and the Bucks needed to help them take him to the next level in the playoffs. What I mean by that is if you take a look at Jrue Holiday's last season in New Orleans, he put up 19 points per game and he averaged around 6.5 assists, which is good, shooting around 35% from 3. Now, if you take a look at his numbers on Milwaukee, he did actually average close to 18 points, still with those 6 assists per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, but also upped his 3-point shooting to almost 40%. That is really good. Also shooting 57% from the field. Those are really good efficiency numbers. Also, 2 turnovers a game. Really, that's not all that bad if you take a look through some of the other, seasons and some of the other players that people have had. So adding in another guy that can put up almost 18 points per game on 57% shooting is really what the Milwaukee Bucks needed. Now, another thing that people really need to focus on too is in this Miami Heat series, Jrue Holiday did not shoot the ball all that well. He actually only ended up shooting 20% from 3, which obviously is terrible, but he shot 51% from the field, and more importantly, he averaged 15 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. That is really good, and again, it is exactly what the Miami Heat could not handle. That was a player that the Milwaukee Bucks did not have last year. This is another guy to come into the games and not only be a difference maker on the offensive side, but be that lockdown defender that could be really good against guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Jimmy Butler. Another good addition for the Milwaukee Bucks that I really liked seeing this season was Bryn Forbes. Bryn Forbes is, again, another shooter that they could have added to their team to really help with their perimeter, shooting. Now, this is where, again, Bogdanovich, that does play on the Hawks, the Milwaukee Bucks were almost able to actually get him, and I'm actually almost happy that they did it. The reason why is Bryn Forbes doesn't necessarily need the ball. Bogdanovich is a player that does kind of need the ball to score in a way, and what I mean by that is, he needs his touches throughout a game. Bryn Forbes is a guy that's just going to go out there, and if he gets the ball, he's going to knock down that shot for you. And what I mean by that is, again, 10 points per game this season, shooting 45% from 3 is really good. But taking a look at his playoff numbers, he almost shot 50% from the 3-point line. That is really good. 8 attempts per game. He knocked in at least 4 threes per game, or at least he knocked in, on average 4 per game, which is really solid. Also averaging 15 points. That is, again, what the Milwaukee Bucks needed to have off their bench to combat teams like the Heat. They needed that other guy to go out there and give them buckets, and Bryn Forbes was definitely one of those guys. Now, PJ Tucker, honestly, was a big addition to their team as well. Now, when you look at their numbers, or his numbers, they're really not all that good. He shot around 42% from the field and only 28% from 3. That's not really all that good, but If you know basketball, you know that PJ Tucker is one of the best defenders, at least one of the best underrated defenders in the game right now. And honestly, I'm really happy that the Milwaukee Bucks were able to pick him up. I'm going to be making a video talking about the Bucks and the Nets matchup we're most likely going to be seeing. And that video, I'm going to really touch up on how good PJ Tucker really is, especially defending guys like Kevin Durant. Another guy that I'm really happy the Bucks were able to pick up is Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis was, again, another guy that they really could have used off the bench, averaging 11.5 points this season, shooting 47% from three. Again, this is a big that we were talking about, that he really helped this team kind of turn around. If you take a look at what he shot when he was on the Knicks, he actually ended up shooting 36% from three, which isn't insane, but it's not really like bad. It's just not really what the Bucks could have needed. However, him shooting 47% from three, that's a whole different story. Taking a look at his numbers in the playoffs, he actually ended up shooting 46% from three as well, which is really good. Also putting in 11 points per game. Again, that is the spark they needed off the bench, right next to a guy like Bryn Forbes. So, obviously, when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks roster, they did make a lot of moves that the Miami Heat couldn't really combat. When you look at the Eastern Conference Finals from last year, they were able to lock up Giannis, and after the Giannis injury, obviously the Miami Heat were able to take advantage of that, but they also had guys like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero breaking out and really, showing how good they could be and showing the potential they could have. Now, honestly, in my opinion, Duncan Robinson and Hero both got overrated very fast. You had Duncan Robinson being compared to Klay Thompson, and you had Tyler Hero being rated higher or even close to Zach LaVine. That should have never happened, and I really feel like that did affect them in a negative way, because I think them being put on those pedestals in a way really did affect how they were looked at and obviously why they started struggling this year. Now, I'm not going to say that Twitter ratings and ESPN ratings and stuff like that are what made them so bad, but I feel like them getting a full year of being able to be scouted for other teams and stuff like that, that really showed their weaknesses in their games. Duncan Robinson started getting attacked more on the defensive end because he's not that great of a defender, and same thing with Tyler Hero. But more importantly, on offense, Tyler Hero started getting pushed to sides of the floor that he really couldn't shoot from, and obviously, that's going to affect his game. But more importantly, he was not really getting the same minutes in the same role that he had in the bubble because he wasn't playing all that well, and that could really affect the player's confidence pretty bad. Now, for the Miami Heat, they did actually end up making a trade for Victor Oladipo, which at the time, a lot of people were hyping up the trade, and this is personally a trade that I didn't like. Oladipo is not what the Miami Heat really needed, in my opinion. The reason why is Oladipo is kind of an inconsistent scorer. I mean, if you take a look at his field goal percentages throughout his career, his career high is 47%, which is really good, but over the last few seasons, they really haven't been all that much. 40% here, 42% here, 40% here, and then with the Miami Heat, he shot 37%. That's really not all that good, and especially from three, he shot 23% from the field, or from the three, for the Miami Heat. That's not what the Miami Heat needed. They did not need another player to go out and just kind of be a defender for their team. I really didn't like that idea. I really think the Miami Heat should have targeted a guy maybe like Kyle Lowry. That would have been another, a better option, because Kyle Lowry is a playmaking point guard that really could have helped this team, especially in the playoffs, be a shot creator, be a, just a playmaker in general to help other guys get open. I'm not really too high on this person, but even a guy like Russell Westbrook, I think, could have actually gelled pretty well in the Miami Heat system. When the Rockets were looking to trade him, I think the Miami Heat should have figured out a way to go ahead and trade him. Now, the final thing I'm going to be talking about here about why the Miami Heat were, so bad this year is the biggest trade that they screwed up. Last year, there was an offer on the table to have James Harden be acquired from the Rockets and be put on this team. That trade would have included Tyler Hero, and that was the main piece that the Heat were not looking to trade. The Heat turned down a trade for James Harden specifically because they did not want to trade Tyler Hero. Now let's take a look at Tyler Hero's numbers from this season just really quick. Now again, I'm very big on, the whole numbers don't tell the full story. Now what I mean by that is when you look at this, he averaged 15 points. Now if you just took that away, it's like, okay, 15 points, that's not all that bad, right? And I would definitely agree with you, but you have 15 points per game here. He's shooting 36% from three and 44% from the field. That's really not that good. Now, what I mean by that is 36% from the three when you're a shooter, that is really not good. And I don't really think that that's something that, should have really been, looked at. You know what I mean? In the bubble last year, he did end up shooting Same thing, kind of 37% from the three. I mean, that is over the course of a lot of games. And I think he did kind of turn around towards the end of, the series and stuff like that. I mean, you can kind of see through here some of the games that he did actually end up scoring in and whatnot. Some of the games he did end up playing pretty good. I do want to get to, the 2020 playoffs here where he did end up scoring. He started shooting the ball very well. I mean, like games like this where, he was shooting 66% from three, 43%. I mean, some of the games are pretty bad, but some of them weren't all that bad. I mean, games against Boston, he shot, he had 37 points in this game. Like, that's the Tyler Hero that they did need, and they didn't get this season. And because they didn't get it, they also ended up missing out on a guy like James Harden, which, I mean, I don't even think I need to look up his numbers. Like, we could go ahead and type in James Harden, and you guys can go ahead and see, like, obviously, James Harden. You know what he could do. 24.5 points. I mean, putting up 11 assists and 8.5 rebounds. It's a huge difference that really costed the Miami Heat a very good chance at contending for a title this year. If they were to trade for James Harden, that could have really taken the ball out of a lot of different players' hands. It would have opened up Duncan Robinson for more wide open three attempts. I mean, you got guys like Bielitsa off the bench. You got guys like Dwayne Dedmon who can even knock down a three or two. Jimmy Butler would have been able to, maybe get a little bit more of an open three, stuff like that. Bam would have been probably throwing more lobs too. I just think it would have really helped their offense a lot. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that the Miami Heat really screwed up by not trading for James Harden? Do you guys think the Miami Heat really struggled in the playoffs because of Milwaukee stacking their team up so well? You guys let me know down below in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with some of the points that I've been making. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to kill a like button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And yeah, peace.